Dramatic coastlines, stunning forests, beautiful landscapes, a stunning city, and endless memories. Over the course of 10 days, we went down the Oregon coast and rounded back up through Central Oregon and finished off in Portland. In this video, I wanted to show you our amazing Oregon road trip covering the best things to see and do, hidden gems, and tips for your own trip. What made this trip special was that we also got married, and this is what it's like to fall in love and make Oregon a special place in our hearts. You don't need to get married to have a once-in-a-lifetime trip in Oregon, but for us, it definitely helped. So, here is 10 days in Oregon. On our first day, we flew into Portland, picked up our car rental, and right away drove towards the Oregon coast. Our first stop was the hidden gem on the Oregon coast, Crescent Beach. This beach requires a quick 3-kilometer round-trip hike to get to the secluded and beautiful beach. I love this beach as it offers stunning coastal views of the sea rocks, and when we went, there was no one else there. Located just 5 minutes away from the very busy and famous Cannon Beach, I'd say this was a great alternative if you're trying to get away from the crowds. Plus, if you wanted to see a huge sea rock, another stop later on offers very similar views. The hike starts from the Ecola State parking lot near Tillamook Rock Lighthouse, which already has some amazing views from the lot. Just to note, you do have to pay for parking here, and there's also some restrooms. As mentioned before, the hike is about 3 kilometers out and back with little elevation to start, but does have a steep descent and climb at the end to get to the lower beach. Regardless, I would highly recommend doing this hike as it is quite short and was one of my favorite places on our trip. We quickly made it back to our cars and made our way to our home for the night after our first day in Oregon. We started off our day 2 with Cape Kiwanda, which features a beautiful sand dune and beach with an amazing lookout in the nearing bays. The Cape has amazing shorelines and also an amazing view of the huge sea stack rock. After parking at the main lot, make your way over to the beach to catch some surfers in the waves and the amazing tides. To get to the sand dune and trail, go right from the parking lot and you can't miss it. Just before the dune, there is a really nice area with beautiful tides, and during low tide, you can probably see some cool tide pools as well. We just happened to come during high tides. To get the most amazing view, make your way up the sand dune. Now it may seem very steep, and it is, where every step you take into the thick sand, you'll probably slide back half a step. So it was very tiring going up the dune, but if you take it slow, take some breaks, enjoy the amazing views, it is very manageable. As you face the dune, you can actually also go on the left side, which I find to be a little bit longer, but is less steep. We went down this way and found it a little bit easier, and this section also has some offshoots of the trail, which I'll feature later. Regardless, when you do get to the top, there are some amazing views all around you. After taking it all in at the top, we went down the path on the right, as mentioned earlier, where there are some other viewpoints with really nice views as well. We made our way back down the hill and enjoyed the beautiful day. To note, this beach does have a bathroom, sink, and even outdoor showers, as well as paid parking. For lunch, we stopped by a place some locals recommended called Grateful Bread. Food here was pretty tasty, and we even got a cool little tie-dye shirt. The staff were also super friendly. We had a long drive ahead of us to our next Airbnb in Yachts, but we had planned a couple stops first at the Outlet Mall in Lincoln, where honestly there wasn't anything that spectacular. Next stop was the Devil's Punch Bowl, a naturally carved bowl connected to the Pacific Ocean. You can actually just park your car and see it from the parking lot, so there is no hike required. When you come here at high tide, the waves crash into the bowl, giving you the amazing views. But if you come at low tide, you can actually hike inside of it. When we came, it was high tide, so we took in the views from up top. This spot offers some nice views of the coastline on the other sides as well, and also some chowder and ice cream to eat. After a long drive, we reached our accommodation for the night, made a nice home-cooked meal, made some s'mores, and watched a movie to end another beautiful day in Oregon. We woke up to a beautiful morning in Oregon for day 3. Our first stop was Cape Perpetua, a beautiful coastal area with powerful crashing waves and a rocky coastline. We were a bit short on time, so we opted to just hike the Captain Cook Trail. The hike can start at the visitor center, but there's a closer, smaller parking lot just off of the main road you can park at. The trail can vary in length, but if you park at the closer lot, Latourell should just be at the initial descent. After parking your car, you will already see some stunning coastlines, and as you descend, the views get even more amazing and dramatic. Arguably, the most famous spot here is Latourell, a cool rocky hole in the coastline that connects underneath to the ocean, where powerful waves will push through and create an amazing spout. Take your time here to explore the coastline as you pass interesting rock formations and spouts, taking in the powerful ocean waves crashing against the shoreline. We didn't spend too much time here as we had a reservation for a Dune buggy tour in Florence, so we quickly ate some lunch and drove over. Something I was really excited for was a dune buggy tour in the famous Oregon dunes. We used Sandland Adventures, and I would highly recommend booking with them as well. Before doing my research, I had not known these dunes even existed, and fun fact, these dunes inspired the Dunes of Arrakis for the book and movie Dune. Sandland Adventures offers 2 types of tours, one a larger and less intense buggy tour, and a smaller sandrail tour that can be 30 or 60 minutes, which seats about 7 people. We obviously did the sandrail tour, and I would honestly compare it to a roller coaster as it was really intense and really fun, and definitely one of the highlights of the trip. Over the tour, you whip through the sand dunes, making some small scenic stops for some cool facts about the dunes. They do also provide you with goggles, but I would probably bring something to cover your mouth, as sand will definitely fly in your face. Overall, something super fun, and a definite must-do when passing through the area. We did also want to do some sandboarding and ATV riding, but we didn't have time for this. We had dinner plans in Brookings at the most southern point in Oregon, so we had a long drive ahead of us. I can't emphasize enough that driving down the Oregon coast was absolutely amazing and one of the most beautiful drives I've ever done. We finally made it to our home for the night, ate some dinner with some friends to celebrate, and we had some prep to do before our special day tomorrow, the day we get married. Our day started early as we met up with our amazing photographer and planner, Jane, at our Airbnb. We took some time to get ready and write our vows before we set off to our private ceremony. Jane was absolutely amazing, and I'll showcase her photos throughout the video, as well as her social media handles. If you love her work as much as us, I'll put her links below so you can connect with her. After a quick hike to our spot, we made a once-in-a-lifetime memory. There was some rain and clouds, so we considered moving things indoors or to another location with more coverage. But the weather on the coast changes quickly, and the weather radar showed things blowing over, so we decided to keep things outdoors and on the beach. Funny thing is that when we showed up, the dark skies really parted and the rain stopped. I know it sounds cliche, but I'm really not exaggerating that it really felt like the bad weather went away for our wedding, and the rest is truly beautiful. Day 5 was a more chill day after such an amazing and memorable day before. We started off having some breakfast with everyone before a few of us set out on solo trips or back home. There was still a big group of us left, and we made our way down into California to see Jedediah Redwoods State Park. which is known for these massive trees. A little tip is to take a slightly longer route pictured here rather than what Google Maps describes. In order to take this more scenic route, I first put the GPS for Elk Valley Tribal Cemetery in Crescent City, and then from here I set the GPS to the Grove of the Titans trailhead. This way lets you drive through the park and see all the amazing trees along the way. We didn't have too much time to explore, so we opted to take a slow drive through and only do the Grove of the Titans trail, as this was one of the most famous trails in the park. At the trailhead, there is free parking and a bathroom. The trail is about 2.7 kilometers in length out and back, with very little elevation, with a marked and clear trail making it super easy. Being from the city in Canada, I'd never seen such huge trees, and it was definitely something incredible. After looping back, we got back into our cars for a long drive ahead. Along the way, we stopped for lunch, groceries, and just took in the changing landscapes and beautiful scenery. After a long drive with many breaks, we made our way to our home for the night in Chiloquin to have a closer starting point to Crater Lake the next day. We didn't do too much today, but somehow it ended up being pretty amazing. Seeing the Redwoods, the beautiful drive, and spending more time with our best friends was still a great day. After a cozy night, we set out nice and early to get to Crater Lake National Park. This was something I was super excited for, as the pictures and videos from this place looked amazing, and something everyone recommends going to. They definitely weren't wrong, and this was one of my favorite spots on the whole trip. There were a bunch of different hikes in the area, but due to time, we could only do one. So we decided to do the Garfield Peak Trail, as this is known to be one of the most popular trails in the park. Before even starting the hike, the view from the parking lot is already amazing, as you can see the whole lake, and we were lucky enough to come on a clear day, so the lake looks so blue and was really reflective of the sky. We parked near the main hotel, as the start of the hike is further behind it. The hike itself is about 5.6 kilometers in length out and back, with 328 meters of elevation gain. Generally, the hike is uphill all the way, so be ready for some incline. The trail is fairly clear with some amazing views throughout. Eventually, you start nearing the peak, and the sweat was definitely worth it, with panoramic views of the whole lake. This video really doesn't do it justice, as this was really an amazing view. After taking it all in, we hiked back down for a quick meal and a stroll through the gift shop. As mentioned before, there is a hotel to stay at, which was quite nice. Inside is also a restaurant, but when we went, it was closed before dinner hours. We also got some nice souvenirs, and then headed out the north end of the park, driving around the perimeter of the crater. If we had more time here, we would definitely check out some of the other hikes, like Cleetwood Cove Trail and the Watchman Peak Trail, but the drive out was also pretty amazing. Our next stop was to check out the famous Toketee Falls. You probably saw some photos of this famous waterfall, and to be honest, it was okay. The hike is a quick 1.3 kilometers with little to no elevation. Most of the cool pictures online are at the base of the waterfall, but due to safety concerns, it is blocked off now and the closest you can get is this viewpoint. Regardless, the falls still look great and is a nice little stop. Another cool spot I did want to check out was the Umpqua Hot Springs, which are also quite famous. However, we were all tired, the weather was cloudy, and we wanted to just settle in and relax. So we opted to skip this and head to Bend, our home for the night. After a quick drive, we pulled into Bend for a nice meal and settled into our hotel for the night after a beautiful day in Oregon. Another beautiful day in Oregon, and we woke up extra early to squeeze in a hike. The ladies on the trip were a little tired from the Crater Lake hikes, so just the boys headed out to Smith Rock State Park for the Misery Ridge hike. Smith Rock State Park was an interesting stop as it was quite the contrast to the coast and forested areas of Oregon. We arrived around 7:30 a.m. and the parking lot had already a bunch of cars, so definitely try to come early to get a spot. The Misery Ridge hike has several trails, and we decided to do the river loop as we had limited time. The other option is to do the summit loop, which is a longer version, but I heard this is pretty nice as well. The river loop is about 5.8 kilometers in length with about 277 meters of elevation gain. Although pretty much all of the elevation is at the start, featuring a bunch of switchbacks, so the majority of the trail is flat or downhill afterwards. Honestly, the uphill was tiring, but it doesn't last for very long. Regardless, they do call it the Misery Ridge for a reason. We came in the early morning to avoid the heat in the afternoon, as I heard the heat and the lack of shade can make the hike much more miserable. The trail features amazing views of the surrounding mountains and landscapes, and when we went, there were a bunch of slackliners having some fun. After the descent, the trail is flat and features a beautiful river to walk along. By this time, maybe around 9 to 10 a.m., there were large amounts of people along the trail, many of them climbers, so we were glad to get in the hike early on. We then headed back to Bend to meet up with the girls who had a nice relaxing morning getting some brunch and some shopping. Of course, we also had to stop by the last Blockbuster on Earth, which just so happened to be in Bend. From here, we stopped by some food trucks for lunch, said our goodbyes, as most of the group headed back to the airport to fly home. We drove back to Portland to round out our Oregon road trip, but it wasn't done yet, as we still had to explore the city. To note, a few cool stops we missed out on when driving back to Portland were some hikes around Mount Hood and the Painted Hills. But this just means we have to come back a different time. After a 3-hour drive, we arrived in Portland to settle into our home for the night. Our two friends who live on the west coast decided to join us for another 2 days in Portland, so together we got some dinner at Gumbo. Listen when I tell you that this place was so good. We ordered a little bit of everything, and everything was good. So make sure you come here if you're in the area. We also did some light shopping, bought some sweets, and overall enjoyed our time. But seriously, Gumbo was so good, and an amazing way to end day 7 in Oregon. On day 8, we started off the day with a nice breakfast at Flat Top and Salamander, which was recommended to us by a local. We basically came right when it opened as we heard it could be really busy, especially on a weekend. We got some chicken and waffles, French toast, and some biscuits as well. And everything was overall pretty good. After a great meal, we headed over to the Japanese garden, which is considered the most authentic Japanese garden outside of Japan. Parking here was pretty difficult and requires payment, so try to be patient here. In addition, you do need to buy tickets to get in, but you can either do that at the entrance or buy in advance. I do recommend doing the latter to ensure you get in. The garden offers several paths to walk through, including beautiful ponds, trees, statues, gardens, fish, birds, and exhibits as well. I didn't know what to expect, but the beauty and dedication to the garden is really special and something you should definitely check out. Overall, I recommend really taking your time here, just sitting and taking it all in. We bought a few things as well at the gift shop and then headed out for some lunch. We had originally wanted to get some food at Hawthorne's food truck pod, but when we took a walk through, nothing really stuck out to us, and we felt like this place was a bit overrated. Instead, we were recommended Hat Yai, a southern Thai spot famous for their fried chicken. Honestly, this place was alright and tasty, but nothing spectacular. After lunch, we were already stuffed, but we had to try a donut place, so we first tried this place called Dough's. Throughout the trip, we tried a couple donut places, so I'll try to keep a running list to show my thoughts. At Dough Donuts, I tried these 2 flavors, which was solid, but not my favorite, so stay tuned for my top choice. After some fried chicken and donuts, we needed a little pick-me-up, so we stopped by behind the museum cafe for a drink. This is a Japanese tea house with beautiful decor inside. We got a nice matcha and hojicha latte and took a little break from all the walking. Definitely a nice little stop to refuel, read a book, or get some work done. Next up on our busy schedule was to check out the famous Powell's Bookstore. I saw a couple quick videos online here, but this place is actually beyond huge. I didn't fully explore the whole store as it was a bit overwhelming, but we did look at a few genres we liked and check out the knickknacks. By now our friends that accompanied us had to leave, so we said our goodbyes, and my wife and I headed back to our accommodation to rest up and recharge after a busy day. But the day wasn't over, and after a quick power nap, we went back out to Pittock Manor to catch a beautiful sunset over the city. I did hear the mansion was haunted and you can take a tour, but when I went I didn't see any ghosts, just some great views. For dinner, we were craving some pizza, so we checked out Ken's Artisan Pizza. We came at 8 p.m. and did have to wait a bit for a table, but the pizza was really, really good, and I would definitely recommend coming here. Another classic stop in Portland is at Voodoo's Donuts. And luckily, this one near us was open pretty late, so we popped in for a quick donut. A lot of people have been saying Voodoo might be overrated or is not as good as some other places, but I do have to say this place is still pretty good and better than Doe's, so it takes the number 3 spot on the list and is a perfect way to end our day 8 in Oregon. Our final day in Oregon started early at Pine State Biscuit, a cozy food stop known for their biscuits. The interior isn't too big, so expect a wait during busy hours. We got a fried steak with a biscuit, and honestly, it was solid, but I still thought the biscuits and gravy at Flat Top were better. We then set out quickly to Multnomah Falls, as we wanted to get there nice and early to beat the crowds. It was about a 30-minute drive in the morning, and without much traffic on a weekday. There are 2 main lots to park at, but the closer one was under construction, so we parked at the farther lot and walked through the underground tunnel to get to the falls. The walk to the falls was a quick stroll, and the views were pretty amazing. Coming early was definitely a huge difference, as the lack of people really allows you to take it all in. You can also take a quick walk up to the upper viewpoint, but in my opinion, the lower point is a much nicer view. Aside from the falls, there is also a gift shop, washrooms, some snack stalls, and a restaurant, but at the time, not much was open. Overall, a definite must-stop that is located close to Portland, but just make sure you come early. For reference, we did come for about 8 AM. Since we're out of the city already, we stopped by Latourell Falls, which is about 30 minutes from Multnomah Falls. The hike to the falls is very short, about 5 minutes, and overall the falls were pretty as well. I would definitely recommend making a stop here, as it's relatively quick and really nice. As we were driving to our next stop, we did pass by a nice viewpoint called the Portland Women's Forum, so I decided to take a quick stop. Honestly, nothing too special here, but a nice viewpoint of the landscapes. If you're passing by, why not take a peek? Our last stop for a nice little scenic tour was the Vista House viewpoint. The views here are also really pretty, giving you amazing panoramic views of the Columbia River, and it's another little quick pit stop that might be on your way for your trip. When we went, the building was closed, but inside is a nice gift shop and cafe. After taking in all the views, we made our way back to Portland. For lunch, we really wanted to try Tokyo Sando, as it had great reviews and generally looked really tasty. Unfortunately, when we arrived, they had run out of the sandwiches that I really wanted, so we just ended up getting a basic egg sandwich, which is something I usually do not enjoy. Regardless, I thought the sandwich was pretty good and I would actually recommend checking this place out. We then popped over to some nearby gift shops to buy some souvenirs for friends, and also checked out this cool antique shop as well. I'm not much of an antique shopper, but the things in this store were actually pretty interesting, and was pretty big as well. After lots of shopping and walking, we decided to try Pip's Donuts and Chai. This spot was something my wife really wanted to check out, as she loves chai. The donuts here are mini-sized and offer a few different flavors, as well as different flavors of chai. My wife really enjoyed the chai here and definitely recommends it. We both shared a tasting platter of the donuts, and honestly, these were my favorite donuts in Portland. Obviously, this is subjective, but the donuts were so good. They were really soft, they were great tasting, and they're just overall great. So come here for your donuts, people. After some more walking, we zipped back to our accommodation for a power nap and rest. By this time in the trip, I was feeling a bit sick, so I had to get some pho as my comfort food. Honestly, we just chose a place nearby and I can't remember the name of the place, but it was solid, but nothing special. Even though I wasn't feeling great, we had to make use of our time, so we stopped by to get some ice cream at Salt and Straw, which was pretty tasty as well, and some pie at Loretta Jean's, which is also really tasty, and I would actually recommend both of these spots. After a long day of walking and eating, we settled in for the night and packed our bags for our flight back home the next day, and put an end to an amazing trip. Although we didn't do anything on this day aside from fly home, I have to add that we did try Blue Star Donuts at the Portland airport. I didn't get any footage of this, but these donuts were really good as well, and I have to slot them in at my number 2 spot. So get these donuts as well. I can't begin to describe how special this trip was for me. First and foremost, it was our wedding, with beautiful moments between my wife and I, and also shared memories with our closest friends that will last a lifetime. Beyond that day, I was able to share amazing memories with my best friends on stunning Oregon beaches, endless sand dunes, towering redwood forests, magnificent otherworldly lakes, majestic mountains, and a stunning city. Through it all, I would not have changed one thing, and it was literally the perfect trip with everything going right. I can't recommend coming here enough, as every spot on this trip was absolutely amazing, and the footage in this video really doesn't do it justice. The moments with my friends and the moments with my wife and Oregon will forever be in my heart. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you check out some of my other content, including our engagement in Iceland, our island time adventures on Vancouver Island, or my hiking trip in Washington State. Give a like and subscribe to help with the channel so I can bring you more content as well. Thanks for watching, and see you on the next adventure.